What's going on, everybody? It's been a while, huh? It's been a while. What day is it? Oh man, it's the 19th. 19th. Almost 1 month since I've been here in Vietnam. And it's crazy. It really has been. I feel like crazy has just been a word that has been added to my vocabulary, and I just use so often now. But I think there's a lot to reflect and look back on, especially as we approach the end of the year. And I can really say that this entire experience has been crazy. It's been crazy, and in a lot of ways, it's just been very natural. When I arrived back in Ho Chi Minh about a month ago, none of it felt unnatural. Like, I came back, I was like, hopped on a motorbike, was driving through traffic, was eating all the food, and it's been interesting because it really doesn't even. It feels like I'm almost frozen in time because everybody's celebrating Christmas out back in the States, and here it's the same thing. It's still hot as hell. It's still. I'm still going to work like normal. I didn't get any time off for Christmas. Well, I get the 25th off, but it's on my day off normally anyways. So it's just been really, really crazy, and there's a lot to think back on as far as what life has been like in the last month. So I'm sitting in my apartment. It is not my day off, but on weekdays I only work in the evenings. So on the weekdays I teach one class, 5:30 to 7:30. And it's about 2 p.m. here, and I'm just chilling. I had some lunch earlier. I love Vietnamese food, but eating out all the time is definitely catching up. And anytime I can mix up some stir fries and buy some chicken breasts at the supermarket, it's almost like I'm back in the States. Just chicken and rice, vegetables when I can. I did experiment with pad thai. I hope y'all saw that video. That was really cool. Pad thai recipe is on point. The first time I made it was not good. The second time was definitely much better. So that's definitely gonna be something I make on the regular. Yeah, it's been crazy. I feel really good about what's going on, but at the same time, sometimes I feel like I'm almost kind of gaming the system, and it's been something that's kind of been on my mind for a while lately, as far as just what kind of privilege I have, as a U.S. passport holder, as a native English speaker, to just be able to kind of have a degree at my university in something that's unrelated to my profession, get an online certificate, and then come out to Vietnam, work 20 to 30 hours a week, and live very comfortably. I mean, I make about $18 an hour, and I work about, they say, 20 to 30 hours per week, which is part-time, most would consider, but I get to live in my own apartment, eat whatever I want, and that community has still got me kind of thinking a lot of conflicting thoughts, because it's really crazy, and it seems almost unfair that myself and a lot of coworkers that I talk to can kind of just up and go to a country like Vietnam and be immediately desired and have a marketable skill with, for me, what seems like minimal training and preparation and qualification. And it's really interesting because we enter this community, and it's not even like we're just providing a skill. We're in this community of education, and provided that these students pay a lot of money to attend these centers, there are times where I feel like I'm underqualified to be providing them with the education that they're paying for. And at the same time, I look at my peers, and a lot of them are in similar boats. A lot of them are in have similar backgrounds and things that weren't English. And it's really interesting, the fact that we're able to benefit from this dynamic. And it seems like, to me, genuinely, it seems almost like it's unfair. Like I'm kind of cheating the system a little bit, because I get to wake up late, except on Saturday, Sundays. I have a lot of free time. the work itself is fun. The preparation does take a long time with lesson planning and even grading, but it's fun work. I like I like going out with hanging out with the kids and just leading the classrooms. It's a lot of fun, and it feels like I'm not working hard for my profession, which is an interesting thing to say, and part of me still feels like I'm guilty of gaming the system, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe I'd change in the future. I don't see myself doing this for a long time. I think one of the things about Ho Chi Minh City is it is just a big city, and I don't think I'm going to be able to stay here for many years, for sure. It's not that there's nothing to do here, but things cost money and there's a lot of traffic, and I feel like the city itself is a hub for people to look for other opportunities, and along the way it's kind of lost its personality. It doesn't have the kind of culture, tradition, or like tight-knit community as like Hue, where I used to volunteer, and it's got me missing a sense of I'm not sure what the word is, but just being able to go out, let's say at night, and just find a place to be alone and have a sense of peace. And I feel like in Ho Chi Minh City, that's kind of been lacking a little bit. It's just I haven't been able to find a place where I can get that sense of peace. Like there's parking officers everywhere. Like you gotta pay for parking. You gotta worry about security. As far as work goes, I almost forgot how tough it was to kind of build rapport with students, especially at first, because you enter these classrooms and then they look up to you automatically, but like it doesn't mean that they like you, or it doesn't mean that they respect you really. They kind of follow the authority that you have in the classroom. But one thing that I haven't experienced for a long time is just having to quickly build rapport with students. And for me, I've been covering a few classes. I'm being almost like a substitute, and so I've had to enter the classroom and make first impressions a lot lately. And it's been really interesting and challenging to kind of jump in the middle and kind of just like, hey, this is the lesson, this is who I am. And I feel much more comfortable making first impressions now. I think I've done this maybe like 5 or 6 times where I've had to like introduce myself to the first time to a group of students. And now at this point, it's like I'm much more comfortable just being like, hey, this is me. This is some funny things about me, try to break the ice. I showed them like this Snapchat of me with doggy ears from Singapore, just chewing on food, and they laugh, they enjoy it. We play a little game, and then we go over the rules, and that's just how it is. It's much more comfortable now, and that was something that I had forgotten initially. And I went in, and I was overthinking myself. I wasn't sure about what I was gonna do, and I don't know. It's just the kids, especially the ones that I get to work with over the long period of time, have really started to grow on me. I've had these little instances where you forget that children just kind of forget social norms, and so they just like I'll be teaching and I'll like break for an activity, or we'll like do a crafting. Let's say I have a kindergarten class, right? And the youngest is 3 years old, the oldest is like 5 years old, and there are times where we break for crafts, or we're on break, and it's like, you're just playing with students, and the kids are being kids, and one of the kids is just always on the ground, and he crawls. He puts like his head like between my 2 feet when I'm standing. I'm like talking to another student trying to help him out, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And then he like brings his legs up like this, and it's just like, you forget that kids, like how kids are sometimes. And then like this is my 3-year-old in that class. It's just like, sometimes I'll be like sitting and helping another student color, and then she'll just like come and like sit on my leg, and I'm just like, hey, like, what do you need, Rosie? And then she just won't even say anything. It's crazy. I mean, I have like, I don't know, like there's a class that I've had for I think 3 weeks now. So the people have seen, the students have seen me 6 times. And one of my students last week was like, I was like sitting at my teacher's desk, and she's like, "Oh, teacher, I like you." And then I was like, "Oh, thanks." And then she kind of like left, and that was fine. But then we just had their end of course test, and same student. We were having so we have our end of course test on Saturday, kind of like their final, and then Sunday is just like a party day for them. Like they just watch Mr. Bean, whatever, and we have like a little. I buy them donuts or pizza, or whatever, and she comes up to me again, and she's like, "Hey, teacher, I love you," and I was just like, "That's cool, thanks. You can go away now." No, it wasn't like that, but it was just like, one, it's also their second language, but it's funny. It's funny to me just being around, I guess, the authenticity of children. It's being around the authenticity of children where they haven't like established their social filters yet. Maybe for them it's like their second language, so they don't like truly grasp what they're communicating. Or it's just kind of like the cultural differences between personal boundaries and things like that. But it's been so fun to just be around students and just have like these little moments where you just like you remember them. You remember these little moments, and I feel like my impressions of this experience whenever when I'm done with this and I'm moving on to whatever my next adventure is. Those are the things I'm going to remember. The times where it's almost like I'm being challenged on what is normal and what is acceptable, because of just being around children. And, there are times where the children are just being unruly, they don't care, it's tough to motivate them, and they're just being really disruptive, and those are the bad moments, but you got to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. And I think so far I've been having a really good time so far. So for me, like, I love the fact that things happen that I never could have expected, and that makes me happy, like, just naturally. It's just like, wow, this is crazy. And I can just always look back at my journals and think like, at this point, this is what I was concerned about. Or I can look back at like different events that happened, and it's just amazing. Life is amazing. Life is beautiful. I'm living life to the fullest, and I hope everybody back home is too. I hope everybody around the world is too. I hope y'all are enjoying company with friends. I'll be on this side looking and seeing what everybody's posting on social media. Yeah, so post note, I just got back from work, and all I said earlier about kids being like beautifully authentic, there's also a flip side to that, because I had a class today, and there was 3 times when a student cried. One student cried twice. And I had 3 activities planned throughout this first hour, and each one of them started with a student crying. And it was just such a long 2 hours. And for every time, every moment that there is a beautiful child moment where you see somebody learning something, or you see some kind of like genuine innocence, there is an instance, there is an equal and opposite instance where the kid is going to be a little. You just gotta learn how to deal with